All right. First, I want to say I don't hear anything about Saquon not playing, him getting the record taken away from him, and he would have got an easy 105 yards, whatever, today. I don't hear any of that. It's over. This is like a guy or a girl harping about their ex moving on from them and moving on to someone else, and you still harp about breaking up from them. All right. It's on to the Packers. Giants lost today. The Eagles won. Okay, great. Um, I don't know what you want me to say about that game. It's a bunch of backups. Anyway, Tanner, Tanner Montana, as I said in a community post, Tanner Montana is taken over. It's great. Helps up his trade value. That's the biggest thing I take away from today's game is Tanner McKee. His trade value went up a notch. You might get an extra earlier round pick for him. Moving along, all I got to say to Eagles fans out there is don't be Cowboys fans. Don't be Cowboys fans that go into the playoffs like they did last year and face the Packers and going like, "Oh, we're going to get our revenge against San Francisco in the playoffs this year," like just totally overlooking the Packers, like they're not even there, like Jordan Love is not doing his thing, like he's not a formidable opponent here. And honestly, Jordan Love aside, the biggest thing that strikes fear in me from this Packers team is Matt LaFleur is a hell of a better coach than Nick Sirianni is. That strikes fear in me more than any ounce of talent that the Packers have, which they have plenty of. Um, but man, it's going to be a letdown if the Eagles lose this game. And I know people are already saying like, "Oh, I wish we were facing Washington in the first round because I think we'd have an easier time against the Commanders." Man, is your goal just to get past one round of playoffs? Like you're going to have to face someone as formidable as the Packers or the Packers themselves in the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl. So what the hell? Like so many people are harping about that right now. Oh man, I wish the chips felt differently. I wish we would face Washington. Who cares? Bring on the Packers. Bring on Detroit in the first round. Bring on whoever the best team is in the conference. Bring them on the first round. Because this team has to prove that they can get to the Super Bowl. And honestly, I'd rather them have their metal tested with tougher talent. Anyways, does this make me more concerned playing the Packers in the first round than it does a team like the Commanders? Absolutely, it does. I think the Packers are a better team than the Commanders. But again, if you're acting like this team is worth their weight and should be in the Super Bowl this season, then it shouldn't matter who they're facing. But will Jalen be back? He better be. I just think that it is kind of concerning that he isn't taking practice. He isn't taking reps in practice. He's only did simulated snapping in practice since he got a concussion 2 weeks ago. Like that is a little concerning to me because I was like when I saw it, I was like, oh, he got concussed. It was probably a minor concussion. They were just being a little over the top, pulling him out of that game against Washington. They're just being cautious. But then when he's not taking reps in practice up to 2 weeks later, and I'm like, what is really going on here? Was it really that bad of a concussion? That has me concerned. But what does make me feel better, and going into the whole first point of this video here of like resting Saquon, and I'm going to address it here, not to harp on the decision that was made, but to say that it was the right decision that was to be made, and that this team hasn't had a rest week since week 5. Their bye was in week 5. Given the O-line, for the most part, a full week of rest, like Lane Johnson, who's always with some sort of ailment at this point in his career, giving him a full week of rest to go into a team like the Packers, I like that. Letting Saquon rest his legs for a week to go into a game against the Packers, I like that. And at the end of things, like even if we lose in the playoffs, I know it's going to become like, oh man, we don't even have Saquon's all-time record to look back on. It's like, who cares? Who cares about one singular achievement that is probably going to be passed up because like Derrick Henry almost broke the record this year as well. But anyways, people act like, if Saquon got that, oh, he'd have it for 40 years, just like Eric Dickerson did. Anyways, I'm harping too much on that, and I tried to say just to leave that be at the beginning of this video. Here I am. Anyways, look, this Packers team is very beatable. Do I take anything out of that week one matchup? No. I'm always one where I say, don't take the results of what your team does in the first week or two, because it's again, it's a lot of players, maybe not a lot, but some players that haven't played with each other on the field at the same time in a real NFL game. So a lot of getting adjustments to people. It's a lot of guys with like different contract values, signing new contracts. How are they going to play now that they got paid and stuff like that? There's a whole bunch of like unknown variables that you have to figure out in the first couple of weeks. So yeah, I don't take anything out of the fact that the Eagles beat them in Brazil in week one. Because again, I think Jordan Love is a much better quarterback. You're going to get a much better quarterback than what you saw in that week one Jordan Love performance. So, but again, you might see a worse performance because maybe the defense, which you could say has come ahead leaps and bounds compared to what you saw the first few weeks from Philadelphia. So, who knows? Am I confident they're going to win this game, especially since it's at the league link? Yes, I'm confident they're going to win. But I ain't looking past them. I ain't going like, oh man, who are they going to face in the second round? The Vikings? Are they going to face the Bears? The Lions? Oh my gosh. wrong NFC North team. One team that didn't make it from the NFC North. Sorry, Bears fans. Your team's pitiful. Anyway, yeah, it's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be a good matchup. It should be a good game. But again, I'm not going to be stunned either way. You're not going to hear me saying that, oh man, we should have played Saquon in week 18 because we at least would have had an all-time record to take away from this season. I want a Super Bowl, period. Like, I'm not going to harp on anything else. It's going to be disappointing if they lose in this wild card round. But I just think they are honestly the better team and they're going to win. And again, that's not looking past into the next opponent. I just think they're honestly a better team, and especially playing at home. Oh boy. Anyway, what say you Packers and Eagles fans? Let's do this. This is a good, very famous round for Philadelphia Eagles and Packers history with the old a fourth down play from a certain Donovan McNabb, not to bring up history that's a little painful from the Brett Favre era. But anyways, Packers fans know what I'm talking about. I don't need to talk about what Freddie Mitchell did in that game. Anyway, that is all, guys. Actually, no, that isn't all. I just want to say, it was a weird week of football and how things ended, but probably the most satisfying thing, I think it was more satisfying than the Eagles win, is seeing Carson Wentz completely shit the bed in Kansas City. Oh my God, you better pray Patrick Mahomes doesn't get injured, KC. That is all.